Hey guys, Jodie here from Decorous Vintage Designs and welcome to my furniture painting channel. Today I get to paint outside because the weather's quite nice. We've got the birds singing. We've also got a road there, but we'll pretend that's not there. Ignore that. So today I've got this lovely set of drawers here. They're quite simple and basic, which is sometimes what I like because it means I get to build stuff on top of them. And I'm thinking about doing a kind of grungy glam piece. Something that's a little bit rustic but with a bit of shimmer on top as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So the first colour I'm starting with today is Burlap. After cleaning my piece, I put on a nice thick base. I'm not using any water to apply the burlap because I like it quite textured, it's just my thing. And yes, I am painting over the pulls as well. So I'm also painting in one direction, however I am happy for different textures in different places to build up. Okay, so it's all painted in burlap now. We've got a nice coat on there. It's not totally even because I don't do even and perfect, as all of you probably know by now. So what I'm going to do next is a bit of an ombre. So these are the 5 colours. I've got a colour for each drawer, and these are the 5 colours that I'm going to use to start with. These are subject to change. So I'm starting with Palmetto, that's going to be on the bottom. Blended into Mermaid Tail. Okay, let's try balancing these. Always try this, always fails. Okay, so then we're blending that into Kudzu. So we've got like some greens and a bit of a turquoisey colour. And then French linen. So that was obviously always going to happen. So then we've got French linen blended into drop cloth. Drop cloth's like an off-white, like it's got a lot of yellow in it. So yeah, so I'm going to blend those now. I've got a water mister. I'm going to use water to help the paint move along. And I've got a premium chip brush for each colour. So I like these because they're natural bristled and they give a bit more texture, and it might mean some of the burlap still peeks through underneath. They're a little bit more scratchy. I started by giving the first straw a really good spray. I want the paint to move nicely along, and also I'm painting outside, so it's obviously going to dry a little bit quicker, so I need a little bit more water than normal. I'm working in sections. I'm working drawer by drawer, starting with Palmetto. I'm painting my Palmetto in one direction, and as I say, like, I really like the scratchiness of chip brushes. I like the texture, but if you're not into that and you want a smoother, more glamorous look and less grungy, then you could always use a synthetic brush and get a smoother blend. So yeah, so all I'm doing here is painting my Palmetto on the first drawer and also the legs, just to get started with. And if a little bit of burlap peeks through underneath, that's absolutely fine, but I don't want tons of it, but I'm okay like if maybe just a tiny little bit peeks through. I'm also lifting some of the Palmetto on the bottom of the drawer above. That is just going to help me blend it a little bit easier. There's a little hair there that I'm trying to get off. Even outside, I still seem to molt on my furniture. And yeah, so I'm just building up a good layer here of Palmetto. Really simple, and then lifting it into the second drawer. Once I was happy with that, I went in with my Mermaid Tail, which is a bit of a turquoisey green colour, and you can see how rough my Palmetto was there. If your paint does dry a little bit, by the way, there is a short window of time where Belle will reactivate with water, so don't panic, just keep spritzing a little bit of water on there. So I'm actually bringing some of the Palmetto further up into the drawer than I first planned. I actually thought maybe it would look better if, and maybe a bit grungier, if I had more Palmetto in the second, do you know what I mean, in the second drawer, just to make it look a little bit darker. But my main colour on this drawer is going to be Palmetto. I'm not going for a perfect blend anymore, but again, if you want a perfect blend, then just use a synthetic brush and don't, you know, drag tons of Palmetto up into the second drawer the way I am here. It's kind of going to look a little bit crazy at first, and you'll probably be like, well, it's looking really patchy and crazy, but that's absolutely fine. That's supposed to be part of the look. Once I had totally covered my second drawer in Mermaid Tail, I went and added even more Palmetto, and you can see here now the scratchiness of the natural bristles on the premium chip brush that I'm using. More hairs for some reason. This is a point actually. I didn't wash my chip brush before I started painting, and that is actually really important when they're new, because otherwise they can molt. So it's actually probably my chip brush molting here, not me. So yeah, so I'm just lifting some of that Palmetto right into the Mermaid Tail there and creating that scratchy texture. I don't want it to be totally overpowering and too patchy, but I do want it looking quite bold, you know. Then just like I did with the Palmetto, I'm bringing some of the Mermaid Tail into the drawer above. The next colour that I'm blending in is Kudzu, and I'm just following the same process basically. I'm getting a good amount of Kudzu on that drawer, and then just like I did with the Palmetto into the Mermaid Tail, I am then bringing the Mermaid Tail into the Kudzu and making it look very, I'm trying to think of the word, I think patchy is probably the word I'm thinking of, you know, because this is going to be a grungy look, but it is going to be glam, but also a bit grungy. So I want that kind of rusticness of there being sort of darker paints and texture and, you know, all that kind of lovely stuff. So now I am bringing more Mermaid Tail into the Kudzu, just kind of roughly blending it, putting it in, just kind of randomly applying it in certain areas. And you'll find these colours are super easy to blend because they're all from the same colour group, so you won't have any issues blending these colours at all. So now I'm bringing some of the Kudzu into the drawer above, just like before, and yeah, and then once I have done that, I am blending in some of the French linen. The French linen and the Kudzu are probably going to be the two hardest colours to blend, because each colour is going to want to take over. So if you apply too much Kudzu, it's going to totally overpower the French linen. Apply too much French linen, it's going to totally overpower the Kudzu. So just take your time, build up the paint slowly, don't go crazy with the water misting, otherwise it'll just slosh around. And yeah, just make sure you just go at it a little at a time, and then you'll find eventually that they blend nicely. If you are struggling, and what you could do is also get a fresh brush, you know, a brush that's had no paint on it, and then just blend stuff in that way as well. That can also be helpful. But what I want, the reason why I went for the French linen here is because I think it would really help add this kind of aged, faded, grungy look, you know, because it's got quite a lot of, like, I'm trying to think of words, I can't always think of, I'm not very good at describing words, some of you might have realised by now, but because it's kind of dark, it's just going to make it look like the greens have faded and aged. I then went in and used some drop cloth. The other thing I wanted to say actually is I am using a fresh brush for each colour. You don't have to do that. It was just my personal preference for this piece. But yeah. One thing not to do is what I've just done here and here and here. And just be careful when you paint. Don't be like me, because then you have to fix it, because I've just splashed drop cloth white paint all over my blend. Yeah. Alright, I just want to show you guys what we've got so far. I just want to show you how it's not perfectly blended. I will be doing stuff to kind of bring it together, but it doesn't need to be too perfectly blended at this point, unless that's the look that you're going for. Okay, I'm back inside now because the English weather didn't stay, because it's English weather, so yeah. Okay, so next up I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Moonshine Metallics Wedding Belle. I'm going to water this down quite a bit as I apply it, and also I've got some kitchen towel because I think I'm going to do some ragging. So I'm going to use this as a kind of glaze. I've misted my furniture quite a bit, and now I am just adding some of the Wedding Belle. So what I like about the Wedding Belle is that it's got a yellow undertone to it, which means it's going to look even more aged, faded, you know, antiqued. But also because of the metallic in there, it's also going to look really, really kind of glazed and glam. And then with some kitchen towel or a rag, I'm just going to go in there and tap and create this cool texture. So I've just decided I don't actually like the wedding bell on top of the mermaid tail. So I'm just going to go in with my water mister and literally just spray it off. If there's a little bit left behind, that's totally fine. But instead, I'm going to go in with some deep woods, which is another Moonshine metallic, which has a lot of green in it, and I just think that will look better. So I'm applying the deep woods in the exact same way as I did the wedding bell. I've saturated the furniture with a lot of water. I am applying my deep woods and then I'm going in and ragging with my kitchen towel. To seal this piece, I put on a base layer of Best Stang Wax in clear and then went around the edges with Best Stang Wax in black to make it look that little bit aged, grungier, a bit dirtier, you know. The paint will then harden and it will then seal your piece. And here's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. And as always, look after yourselves, take care and bye-bye.